This community is not just corporate.
Hey everybody, it's Coach Rebecca, and today I'm talking to sport parents about how to talk to your athlete without adding pressure or causing stress. And I had 2 questions in the PerformHappy community this week that I posted in there about, what's your biggest struggle? Because every month I go live in our group and our paid community and we handle those stresses and struggles. So the 2 questions that we're right at the top. I was like, okay, I have to answer these live. So the first one says that her biggest struggle is saying the right thing. I don't want to add stress. And then the other one says her biggest struggle is knowing the right things to say to be encouraging without adding pressure. So I was like, okay, let's talk about that. And I have a course called Peak Performance Parenting that goes into this in detail, but I'm going to give you kind of the Reader's Digest version and give you some tips on how to talk to your kid without making them shut down or pull away or resent you. So here we go. That Peak Performance Parenting course has 4 parts to it. The first one is why kids don't always compete like they practice. We've got readiness for change, which is really important. I'm going to talk about that a little bit today. How to communicate to them, and then how to teach them mental toughness. So we're basically touching on kind of the middle 2 sections of that course. And so when parents say, what do I say? My answer is, it depends. And there's a big it depends here because it depends on whether or not they are ready to change. And psychological research around readiness for change talks about basically 4-ish, 5-ish stages if you count maintenance. And depending on how ready you are, you may or may not change. So if I say, I want to start exercising, I'm already in a stage of change that's like, okay, maybe I realize I want to change and I think I'm going to do it through exercise. Now, there might be people who are like, oh, my body hurts and I'm so tired. Oh, well, too bad. Then they're at a different stage of change than the person who's actually at the gym working out or going, there's no problem here. I don't even need to change. So how this relates to your athlete is that if they are in the initial stages of change, it means they don't know there's a problem. So that means that they're in tears, they're upset, they're frustrated, they're underperforming, and they don't notice that they're being negative. They don't notice that their behavior is causing their problem. And that's how it is a lot of the time because these are unconscious behaviors. Negative thinking is a habit. It's just a bad habit. It's not anything wrong with you. But so you're just kind of cruising along, underperforming, and not really noticing that there's a problem. The next stage is that you know there's a problem, but you don't think there is a solution or there isn't one that will work for you. So that's the kid who's miserable and thinks, oh, well, I'm just bad and that's all there is to it. That was me. I didn't believe in myself. I thought there was something wrong with me. So that's like, there's a problem, but there's no solution or it's not one that's going to help me. You're not going to solve anybody's problem who is in one of those 2 stages. Either I don't think there's a problem or I definitely don't think there's a solution. So a lecture in that state is not going to be useful. Then we move into solution mode where we know there's a problem and we want a solution. That's me being like, I think I'm going to go to the gym. And then there's I am on the treadmill. Like I am solving my problem. And then there's maintenance, which is I have my regular schedule and I keep the change in place. In regard to mental training, if your athlete is miserable or struggling and they are like, I need help, mom, tell me what to do. It's going to be a lot different than the kid who's like, I'm fine. I don't want to talk about it. Lay off. And I've been on initial consultations with kids who are like sponge and they just want to know more. And they're like, okay, I'll try that. And I've been on consultations with kids who are like, I'm here because my mom thinks that I should tumble and I don't actually care if I tumble or not. So that's why it's like big caveat. So if your child is in the beginning stages, they look upset, they're not progressing, they're not really telling you what's going on, they're like, I don't know, I'm fine, then you don't want to come at them with advice or they're going to shut down. If you asking good questions though, that can help them move in the right direction. So if they're in a lower stage of change, they're not ready, what you really want to do is focus on building the relationship because you're creating this space in your relationship with your child where you are a safe place for them to come and complain. Now, I know as parents, we get a lot of complaining, like lots of hours of complaining in our days and our weeks, and we don't always want to hear it, right? I'm paying all this money and I'm picking you up and you're miserable and you're complaining and you hate it and you want to quit. the best thing you can do is listen. I mean, that's for any stage of change. If you have an adolescent or a teenager, listen. That is what they need from you. They don't want your advice. They don't want you to fix it. They want to feel heard. They want to feel like what they say matters and that you get it. So the most important thing is to ask great open-ended questions. And now I have a free list of 50 open-ended questions about sports that you can download if you're a parent and you want that. It's at performhappy.com/questions. Or if you're on Instagram, you can just use the keyword questions, drop that in, and my autoresponder will send you the link to that. And that will give you 50 questions. Now I'm going to tell you, I'm giving you a 2-question maximum in the car. So if you pick your kid up, pick 2 of those questions and just use those 2. And then if they are done talking, move on to something else. So in general, you want to make sure that you're reducing the amount of questions that you're asking them about their sport, and you are just letting the questions that flow happen. Now, if they are not interested in change and that's obvious, then your job is to build the relationship. So the best thing you can do as a parent is take her out to coffee, go get your nails done, go shopping. If you have a little artist, do a watercolor session, sing karaoke, get on the trampoline and jump until you laugh so hard you pee your pants. Those are the moments that you're building that relationship so that they will come to you when things feel hard. So if you think your kid is struggling and doesn't realize it, or doesn't think that there's hope, spend quality time with them where you're not talking about sports, because that's going to give you those opportunities for them to be like, you know what, Mom, this girl said something weird to me at practice. And you'll be like, really? Tell me more. But if you're just getting in the car and like, hey, how's practice? They're not going to give you that type of dirt as if you are spending quality time. So if you haven't, block a few hours once a month to just be with your kid. You can do it. Once a month, you can do this 2, 3, 4 hours to just be together and do something you both enjoy. And your goal during this time is to listen more than you talk. And then if you're asking great questions, things will flow. Now, here's how this moves them forward. They're getting from stuck and I don't know it and I don't have a solution to, okay, I think I can talk about this, to, okay, I think I can embrace a solution. That happens when you have spent time and invested in building their trust. So you're not giving advice. You are just listening. You are helping them feel understood and you're asking questions. Are you guys getting me here? You're not talking. There's no advice. So I'm going to give you an example for you parents out there. Imagine that you just had the worst day at work. The worst. You made a stupid mistake and your boss is mad at you and your coworkers are inconvenienced and you just want to crawl inside a cave. And then you're driving home and you hit traffic, so you're late to pick your kids up and they're annoyed because they have a lot of homework. They didn't eat their lunch because they didn't like what you packed them. You walk through the front door and your partner is there and they say, how was your day? And you're like, you know what? It was bad. It was bad because this, and this. And you just kind of, you let them know. Now, I'm going to give a couple responses that a partner in the situation could give you. Okay, response A. Your partner goes, well, you need to put more effort in at work so that doesn't happen. And of course, traffic is always bad this time of day. So make sure you leave a little bit early. And I mean, it looks like you just need to get on Pinterest and find some new recipes to get those kids eating because they really need to be fueled. Okay, so yeah, I guess that's true, right? Is it helpful though? If someone said that to you when you walked in the door after that day, I would want to smack him. I'm like, don't tell me to leave 10 minutes earlier. Don't tell me to do my job better. Like, I know that. I don't want your solution right now. Okay, then there's response B. You walk through the door, you had a terrible day, you tell your partner, and your partner responds like this. Gosh, I'm so sorry. That sounds like the worst day ever. Do you want a hug? I'm so sorry. It feels like everything piled on you, and that's got to be really heavy. How can I help? And you're like, could you make the lunch tonight? Thank you so much. Maybe if you could, whatever, you're then able to go, okay, I'm going to solve some problems. So same with your kid. If you show up in the car and you're like, well, you should have done this and you should have done that. And why did you do that? And then they're like, oh my God, I don't want to talk to you after gym because I don't need anybody else piling things on me. There's already enough piled on me just being an adolescent athlete. So imagine this. Your athlete comes home, they're getting in the car after the worst day ever, and they're like, I can't believe I forgot my grips after the meet. I couldn't hit a single cast handstand. My whole team had to do conditioning because of me. This was the worst day ever. So if you're like, you know better than to forget your grips, that's so dumb. I don't blame the coaches. Of course they were laying into you. You've been a gymnast for how long? You need to get this figured out. Okay. If that's your response, how likely are they going to be to come to you when they are feeling stressed or they're struggling? They're like, ugh, they're just going to pile more on top of me. So instead, they get in the car. Yes, they made a stupid mistake. Yes, they know better. And you go, oh my gosh, that's the worst. I remember when I did that when I was a gymnast, and it's like a rite of passage, and it's so awful, and I'm so sorry, and I'm glad you survived it. Ugh, how was everything else today? And you just sighs. That's what we humans want when we had a rough day or when something's not going right. We do not want people telling us what we already know about how bad we did. We don't want advice. We don't want tips. We just want an ear. And we want them to give us a hug and be like, dang it, that's so sad. I'm so sorry. What can I do to help you? Okay, so that's the vibe that we want when we're talking about our kids. Then when they're opening up to you more, because you have been this like, oh my gosh, that's so rough. Yes, I know you want to quit today. Yeah, it's so hard. I'm so proud of you. You keep showing up even though it's so hard. What do you want for dinner? If you could just let it be that, oh man, you'd be winning. You'd be winning. So if they are like, okay, mom, I want to get over my fear. I want to build confidence. What do I do? Then what you want to do is start using great questions. So whether they're coming in and asking you questions, repeat them back. If they're complaining, repeat it back. So if they are like, I am the worst and I'm having so much trouble, I will never be able to go for this skill. You go, oh man, it sounds like you feel like you are the absolute worst person on your team and you will never be able to go for your skill. Do I have that right? And instead of going, you're great, don't worry, you are allowing them to feel understood. If they feel understood, they will share. They will then start to brainstorm and she'll go, well, I'm not the worst on my team, but I felt like it today. I don't know what was wrong with me. Maybe it's because I didn't get enough to eat today. They are going to start figuring out what they can solve if you're not shoving it down their throat. So you're listening, you're repeating, you're empathizing, you're being with them in the yuck of it and not letting it get to you. You're just like, yeah, that sounds so hard. Do you need a hug? Okay. And then one thing that I always remind the Perform Happy parents is that when in doubt, do less. Less is always more when it comes to parenting and conversations. And there are 4 things you're responsible for as a sport parent: food, hugs, rides, tuition. Okay, repeat it after me. Food, hugs, rides, tuition. Notice it doesn't say being the family sports psychologist. It doesn't say spotting them on a few back handsprings in the backyard. It's food, hugs, rides, tuition. And those hugs, that's what these conversations are about. You're just a big old hug. So their coach pushes them out of their comfort zone. You catch them and go, oh, that's got to be so hard. So I go into detail on this in the Peak Performance Parenting course and talk about all the stages of change, specific ways to communicate, scripts and everything. So if you haven't joined us in Perform Happy and you want to, you can always check that out at PerformHappy.com. And if you want that list of free 50 open-ended questions to get the conversation started, just go to performhappy.com/questions and grab that. If you have questions that you want me to answer live on my Tuesday live group training, then please send them my way, Rebecca@performhappy.com, or DM me, and I will see you around soon. Thanks, guys.